My name is Purge and I approve the content in this video.
Hey guys, this is SunsFan and welcome to the official Dotacinema guide to Razor. If you aren't familiar with this hero, you may want to watch the introduction we did for him at the corresponding link. Razor is an agility carry who, interestingly enough, is best built as a tank. He's picked up to counter hard hitters and can be very tough to contain if left unattended. Skilling Razor is pretty straightforward, but some small tweaks should be made in certain situations. As a result, we've come up with two builds. One thing that is standard throughout is that you'll max Plasma Field by 7 in every scenario. Also, your ultimate Eye of the Storm should be skilled at the standard 6, 11, and 16. At level 2, getting a level of Static Link is usually a good idea, because if used correctly can net you a kill quickly. Level 1 of this spell should not be underestimated. At level 4, get a level of Unstable Current. The movement speed is of course helpful, but any single target nukes applied to you will make the opponents pay. Now the question is, what do you max second? Well, that's where the two builds differ. In build number 1, which we'll call the default build, you'll max Static Link first. A reason for this is because although a carry, Razor isn't really a late game carry. He'll start tapering off at some point, and since most of your damage comes from Static Link, you'll want to take advantage of it early. But in build 2, you'll max Unstable Current second. You'll want to use this build if you're going up against a lot of single target nukes. It could also be handy for mid-solo situations as well, where the speed boost can help you get to the runes. When starting the game, get a couple branches for an eventual magic wand. Also get some regeneration and Ring of Protection. The Ring of Protection will be turned into a Ring of Aquila at your earliest convenience. If you're playing mid, try to get an early bottle so you can hold the runes and gank more effectively. For boots, it's a choice between Power Treads and Phase Boots. Treads will allow you to manipulate your stats, which is helpful in all aspects. It'll give you damage, mana capacity, or HP on the fly. The attack speed is also helpful as long as you're dealing damage. Now on the other hand, Phase Boots do synergize really well with your hero, since you're relying so much on your movement speed to keep your Static Link going. Also, thanks to your Unstable Current, you'll be extremely fast with Phase Boots. From here on out, you'll want to get tank items. Although not as effective on range heroes, a Vanguard is still a popular choice on Razor, since it's the best tanking item for the stages of the game that Razor will be most effective. Against heavy magical lineups, a BKB may be needed to allow you to stay in fights and deal as much damage as possible. If the enemy is dealing tons of magic damage but doesn't necessarily have a lot of crowd control, getting a pipe would be way more beneficial, since its effects not only help the team, but will constantly be working in your favor, as opposed to the BKB which works in bursts. Also, if you're doing well, going for a Manta is great since it provides some DPS along with the tank ability you so desire. If you're in a push lineup, or you're having a little trouble taking down enemy structures, getting an Aghanim Scepter is great since your ult will then work on buildings, and of course the stats will help you quite a bit. Lastly, for core items, a Blade Mail should always be under consideration, since you will be the target in most fights. For situational and luxury, a Heart of Tarask or Satanic could be looked at since they provide tons of tank ability for the later stages of the game. Another item that is often overlooked for tankiness is an Eye of Skadi, which not only gives you a lot of HP, but will allow you to orb walk with ease. Finally, if you find yourself in late game and just don't deal enough damage to put your team over the top, you can start looking at DPS items such as Daedalus, Butterfly, or even a Divine Rapier. When playing Razor as your team's only carry, you need to realize that you're on a timetable. Once the game approaches 50 minutes and beyond, you will most likely not be the hardest hitter in the game, even if you've done well. Because of this, you should take advantage of the window you were given. If you play mid, don't sit there and farm. Use your skills to your benefit and gank relentlessly. Now let's go over his skills in more detail. Plasma Field is a nuke of sorts, and really you'll just have to use it in order to get used to the range. Obviously you'd prefer to hit units on the edge in order to deal more damage. And since the radius is huge, if timed well, you can go in the jungle and after pulling, use it on 2 to 3 camps at a time to maximize your farm. Also for this skill, just keep in mind that it will briefly give vision in the area, which is important for the next skill. Static Link is the biggest reason that Razor is built as a tank. I mean, if you can steal someone else's damage pretty reliably, why would you build more DPS when building beefier will ensure you can just sit there and deal the damage needed? Because you're stealing someone else's damage, Razor is a counter to carries. And the reason he can reliably do this is because it goes through BKB. The maximum amount of damage you can steal is 224, which is massive. Now, in order to get numbers like that consistently, you'll have to be in range, which of course your passive can help with. The movement speed of Unstable Current synergizes directly with Static Field, and will of course slow and damage enemies who cast single target spells upon you. But something that is often overlooked is that the slow is actually a purge, and will negate positive buffs from those enemies. This can be huge in certain situations. And of course, Eye of the Storm works a lot like the bully in school. He picks on the weakest link. Use your superior move speed well, and you can easily avoid hitting creeps. And if you can keep up with your enemy, after a while they will have significantly lowered armor since each tick will remove 1. In teamfights, you can't always be choosy. The ideal situation would be to use your static link on the enemy carry for 8 seconds and then just pound away. Like we've talked about, Razor is a carry but is not dependent on DPS items. He is truly unique in this aspect. Since Razor deals a good amount of damage but has no stun or reliable slow to speak of, he's reliant on allies who can do it for him. Heroes such as Shadow Shaman, Lion, Batrider, and Bane are great examples of this. In addition, Razor needs a true initiator for teamfights. Heroes like Axe, Earthshaker, and Sand King fit this description. For foes, Razor doesn't like to go against heavy nukers that do not rely on single target spells. Examples of this include Outworld Destroyer, Queen of Pain, Shadow Fiend, and Invoker. Another great counter to Razor, even when tanky, would be Necrolite. Yes, his ultimate is single target, but it won't matter since it'll be the last thing Razor sees.
Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube. Also, a big thanks to Flawless and Purge for their help in writing this guide. You can check out their awesome channels in the video description. Also, be sure to visit our website at dotacinema.com and visit our Facebook at facebook.com/dotacinema.